the growing Chinese MedTech market.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to my keynote. I'm going to talk about the Chinese market, the growing Chinese market, and I will take you into my slides. One short word about me. I'm Mareike Seeßelberg. I'm working for CHINABRAND IP Consulting, and I am an expert for Chinese markets, anti-counterfeiting, and know-how protection in China. What do I want to talk about in the 10 minutes I have? First, China and Asia as a growing market. Second, trend e-health in China. Third, risk of counterfeiting. And fourth, copyrights and trade secrets in China. So let's get started. I have chosen here a statistic for my first slides to show you the growing market China. As you can see here, from 2014 to 2018, the Chinese market for MedTech more than doubled. And the trend is going on like that. So there will be more growth in the Chinese market. This has several reasons. For example, of course, the aging population. There will be more patients needing medical help, needing doctors using medical devices. And of course, there's also another reason, which is the living standards of the Chinese populations, which are getting better and better. And the healthcare systems are also getting better and better. One more reason for more medical devices being demanded. The situation in the Chinese market for medical devices is still very much import focused. This means that most middle and high-end medical devices in China were actually imported in 2018. As you can see here, for example, CT machines, 80% imported. Ultrasonic devices, 90% imported. Test equipment, most of it imported. ECGs, most of them imported. So that means that most high-end medical devices still need to be imported from foreign countries. The Chinese government is trying to change this. They have several plans, like, for example, Made in China 2025 and Healthy China 2030, which promote the pharmaceutical and medtech companies to be more innovative and to build more high-tech products. However, these changes will need time, and until that time, there is a high demand for foreign medical devices in China. There are some changes in the regulatory landscape in China in the recent years, not only for medtech, but also for pharmaceutical companies. This means there are several new laws, new regulations in China, which make it easier to register your products for the market and to get a marketing license in China. Also, the Chinese government has taken some steps to eliminate registration backlogs or to increase transparency in the registration process. Also, promotion of research and innovation has taken place. So the Chinese government is actually doing a lot to promote pharmaceutical and medtech companies in China. And it's not only Chinese companies benefiting from it, but also foreign companies can benefit from these regulations, especially in the regard of elimination of registration backlogs and faster times of approval. One trend that I would shortly touch upon is the telemedicine in China. E-health in general and telemedic in specific. This is a trend that is really important for China. We have seen it in other countries too, but for China, it is already advanced a little bit more than in other countries. The reasons for this is simply a lack of physicians in rural areas. So for many people in rural areas, telemedicine is the only way to get a fast diagnosis or to get a consultation with doctor. It is already used in China and it is very well accepted by Chinese population. Also, it works quite well also in rural areas as the internet is normally very good there. So it's no problem to have a video call with a doctor. Which is a problem nonetheless is that it's really very hard to make a diagnosis in many cases without using any medical devices. So we expect that in future there will be more patients needing medical devices at home for diagnosis, which they will then have to use during a video call with a doctor themselves. So they might need to buy some medical devices for their own home. This leads me directly to the next point, e-commerce. E-commerce is really important lately, not until now for MedTech, but it might get more important for MedTech in China. This means that until now, the medical devices in class 1 and 2 were already allowed to be sold on Taobao, JD, and Pinduoduo, some of the most biggest e-commerce platforms in China. And only specialized e-commerce platforms were allowed to sell medical devices in classes 2 and 3. But since COVID-19, some things have changed, and we see a lot of development in this area, and a lot of companies getting active in the area of sales of class 3 medical devices online. Some companies where you would not really expect it, for example, point 2, you see Fresh Hippo, which is a supermarket chain selling food, or other companies like Huawei, the famous smartphone manufacturer. Of course, e-commerce is a really big chance, as it makes it easier to sell your products direct to customers, and it makes marketing easier. But the problem is that e-commerce also makes everything easier for counterfeiters and makes it easier for them to get their products online and to the customer, and also to customers that believe that they might have bought an original product. We see several counterfeiting trends in the last years. For example, digitalization of counterfeiting. Of course, counterfeiters are using the same channels that original manufacturers are also using. So they're getting more digital, same as normal manufacturers get more digital. But in recent years, most of the counterfeiters are not small backyard companies. They often have global supply chains. They have global production and sales, and sometimes they even have legal departments working for them. They use legitimate marketing, so that it's really hard for the end consumer to know which product is illegal and which is legal. Sometimes, it's really hard to distinguish for them. Counterfeiters also use fake certificates and so on to make the customer really believe that they are buying the original product. Also, the counterfeiters get better and better in avoiding lawsuits. This means, for example, they don't have products on stock, which makes raids unsuccessful, as if there is no stock, the raid also won't find anything. Also, they are registering IP rights and sometimes even use these IP rights against the original manufacturer of products. This is also a really important topic in regard of embedded software and digital products. There are more and more softwares being stolen or illegally used by counterfeiters, and there are ways to protect yourself from that. There is a way of registering your embedded software or your software in general in China for copyright, as a copyright, and then you can use this copyright to fight anybody using the software. And this is something that we definitely suggest to do in China, and to be aware of people using your software, because it's sometimes not obvious from the product. The product might look very different, but the software inside can still be the same, and this results in really big market losses if your advanced software is used by somebody else. You can also use the way to protect your IP, which is trade secrets. And it has become easier in China to protect trade secrets. It's still far from being easy, but it's easier. And this is a good way to protect IP, which is evolving very fast. For example, fast evolving softwares, and things like that, or products with a very, very short product cycle. So this is also a way of protection that should definitely be considered for China. So what conclusions can we draw? In general, as Chinese market is still growing, there are huge chances for companies in China. There is a high demand of products in China, so it's definitely worth to try to get your products on the Chinese market. There will be an increasing competitive pressure as Chinese government is doing a lot to promote their Chinese companies to get more innovative, to produce more high-tech products. And there is also one big risk, which is counterfeiting in China. It still is, and it will probably still be for a long time. And this is also something that should definitely be taken into consideration before entering the Chinese market. So what should you do? Before entering the Chinese market, do a really thorough market research. China is not the same like other countries, and there might be other channels for marketing and other channels to contact your customers, to get in touch with your customers. And also the customers might be different, or the demand might be different than in other countries. Also make sure that you have reliable partners in China, distributors, producers, manufacturers, anybody you work together in China. Make sure that you know that you can trust them, as we have many cases in which it is the partners doing counterfeiting on the products. Have a strong IP portfolio and make sure you have it before you enter the Chinese market, because after you enter it might be too late. This means not only registering patents, but also registering trademarks and using them. Build yourself a brand in China. And from the very start, show every counterfeiter that you implement your rights, that you will have a lawsuit if they use your IP rights, that you will stop them from using them. Because if you don't make that known very early after entering the Chinese market, there will be so many companies trying to copy your products that it's really hard to stop them all. So make sure that you have proper IP protection from the very beginning. So thank you for your attention. I hope this was interesting for you. I hope you got some new information. If you have any questions later on, please let me know, and I will definitely answer them.